Oh, shucks. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first episode we're doing in 2026. I am so excited to be here for the Drum Boy Reads Slow show, episode number 3. All right. So we got the timestamps right up here. We're going to be doing a kind of a quick little bit on... Oh, hi, hello, how are you, by the way? But we're going to be doing a little bit on what my New Year's resolution is, as far as what I'm going to be trying to cover new that I'm not normally doing on the channel. So I'm going to get into a little bit of that briefly. I have my weekly comic pickups. I actually... well, I'll get into all of that, but I just got back from the comic shop, so I'll show you what I got today, as well as a few that I missed the last couple of weeks while I've been kind of taking a little break from the channel. And then we're going to go into 2 features, actually a triple feature. I'm going to show you a little bit about some of my continued reading, some stuff I've already covered on the channel that I would like to continue giving coverage on as it comes out a little bit more rapidly than the big compile them up and read 10 at a time deal. But yeah, I have 2 features now on 2 ongoing series that well, you might be sleeping on both of them. They're both pretty young in terms of like how long they've been around, but yeah, I'm really excited to talk about them, and I'm glad that I chose them to read over a lot of the other titles that I've seen some really good remarks on some stuff I've been sleeping on. I haven't pulled it out of the box yet. I've been compiling it for months, and for whatever reason, these 2 titles spoke to me. The first of which we're gonna get into is I guess this is an ongoing or a continuation. This is more like a mini series, but it's a continuation from a previous series, Orphan and the 5 Beasts, Bath of Blood is the title. Yeah, Orphan and the 5 Beasts, Bath of Blood. I apologize, it's a mouthful. I actually featured this on my year-end list, and that was off a brief read-through, just like a random, like I just opened up issue 2 because I just couldn't take it anymore. The artwork was so interesting. Get a gander at that. This is issue 3 here, and this was an amazing issue, but we'll get into that. This series is picking up where the previous mini was, and it's a very intriguing series for a lot of different reasons. I'm reading a lot of different books, and this one just sticks out like a sore thumb because it's just got that much of its own vibe, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't recommend it enough, especially now while there's still plenty of time to catch up on it. And then our second and our main feature today is going to be the surprising Biker Mice from Mars, which just recently dropped issue number 7. I have so many things to say about just that brand. Not just that brand, but that title now. Oh my gosh. Whew. Talk about nostalgia. So let's get into this. So our first segment here is going to be on resolutions. And I'm going to be talking a little bit. I'm sure a bunch of you picked up one of these at your shop in the past couple of weeks. So I've been paging through. I've been kind of... My interest in DC may be waning just a little bit outside of the absolute universe. But I did see in recent issues of this several titles that I got my eye on them, and even though I'm trying to kind of cut certain titles out, reduce my pull box, be a little bit more conscious of how much I'm spending as I'm collecting, so I don't wind up with titles like Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I really did not enjoy. I know that a lot of people do enjoy it, to each their own. But my personal opinion is that I'm going to, sell my copies of that, and I'll be done with it and wash my hands of it. I removed it from my pull list. They had an issue 7 in there for me. But in any regard, some titles have perked my eyes, and I'm thinking that as a commitment to my viewer, I'll make it my personal job as a comic connoisseur to kind of cover these, and whether they're good or bad, give you a plain as day outlook on what my experience was with each issue that comes out. So the first of which being Lobo #1 with Jorge Corona on the art coming out. So I'm committing as a New Year's resolution, a 26 resolution. I'm going to, for my channel, cover Lobo until I absolutely can't anymore. And likewise, actually, I got a similar thing. I'm thinking with the new Deathstroke. I'm not like the biggest Deathstroke fan in the universe, but I did really enjoy when he got his ongoing, and they had that that first. I think it was like a 4-part arc. I think it was like it was a guy impersonating him who was calling himself the Ravager. I enjoyed that. It reeked of an era that just so much machismo and manliness in that comic. I really enjoyed those. I never went back to it after that because I had so many titles going on at the time. Kind of overstimulated myself with a big backlog of reading after kind of being quiet for almost 20 years and not reading or really collecting anything. So yeah, Deathstroke. I think I want to kind of cover that for my channel. My last resolution, but this covers a bunch. Now this is where you're gonna be like, now you're just being crazy. Now you're just breaking the bank. But my little eye has spied that, as some of you may have noticed, is that DC Vertigo is coming back, and for me, that is like a double-edged sword. But with the channel, this was kind of a pivot year for me with work, and I wasn't destitute, but I had a little bit of extra time, and I could have gone and sought some sort like Uber or ride sharing or something to fill in a little deficit. But I decided to start this channel. I've always wanted to have this hobby thing going, and I can't think of a better thing that I could be like, this is one thing this channel is definitely doing. Then let's monitor this new era of Vertigo, because the last one, from what I've read, didn't go so well. I'm a big fan of classic Vertigo. My Swamp Thing, Hellblazer. I kind of had a thing with like the Preacher comic. I got to go back to that one, but I enjoyed Preacher. There were several titles that were very interesting. I in particular, the hype behind 100 Bullets was not met. I did not enjoy that title, and I really gave it a really serious shot. And so this could be a double-edged sword. Could be an investment of time I live to regret. So anyway, 2026 could be some exciting things. So anyway, let's get into some of what I bought the past couple weeks. I got a little backlog. Like I said, I got a little caught up with life, but we had some interesting purchases the last couple of weeks. Some of the stuff, I did a big comic reorganize, so I can get to some of these titles faster for you guys. I did a big long box reorganization and alphabetizing, so I got everything organized now. It took a few hours, but I accidentally indexed a bunch of comics that I'd gotten in the last 3 weeks that I hadn't had a chance to show you guys. But anyhow, what's fun is when you find one that you needed. You started collecting it, and you need to, go back and get stuff. I found one that I needed that was should have been long gone. This is just Flash Gordon Quarterly, the first one that came out quite some time ago. Not quite sure why it was tucked away behind the big stack of Thundercats, but I happened to pick up in the last couple of weeks Shredder issue 4. I'm very interested to start that title. I really enjoy the current iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think the new team is awesome. I believe, I think that, so this is just picking X-Men back up, issue 23, and it's like an epilogue to the Age of Revelation. Honestly, that whole event, it's just kind of gone over my head. I guess maybe I missed the point, but I've heard some pretty good things about this and actually today's issue of Uncanny coming out. So, You know, like I'm hoping it can be good. You know, I didn't miss this. I haven't read it yet. But yeah, I'm up to issue 15. I've gotten through issue 15 of Absolute Batman, and it is absolutely, if I've, you know, not to use the word absolutely too much, but that is one that is worth the hype. Still on the Absolute universe, and I still need to get caught up on this issue. It's been sitting on my to-read pile. I really like Absolute Superman. I really like this version of Kal-El. I think that's awesome. I'm also looking forward to getting started on this. I really, really like the premise as it's been explained to me. Gosh, yeah, I can. I think the whole KO event is pretty ridiculous and being poorly executed. But if this, I'll have a good outlook on it. If this turns out to be as good as I've heard, and as much as I know a solid Batman title to be, our old reliable, I will be more than satisfied and take that as a win. Still keeping up with Farrell. The initial charm kind of wore off at like issue 12 for me, but I mean, it's, you know, I got to go back and see what they've done. You know, I got about what now, issue 19, so what, 7 issues to catch up on. Yeah, I mean, maybe the title's got legs to keep going. I'm a cat person. Side note, if we're being real, huge dog person as well. I'll probably still continue to buy it. I got Animal Pound and Man's Best sitting in a drawer somewhere, not getting read as well. Also, We Three, and I love animals, so that is that's a conundrum for me. And finally, one that I really got to get to soon to decide if I still want to keep dropping the money on this each month, but it's this JSA. So this was issue 15. I read some Jeff Lemire. I like some Jeff Lemire. Can I say that this is, like, I imagine this being a title he's going to be good at? Maybe. I mean, Absolute Flash, by reading it, like, you know, all in one sitting, I feel like I saved that title for myself instead of, you know, being like, I don't want to read this. So maybe this will be like a good one for one sitting. That seems to be the kind of guy Jeff Lemire is, you know, kind of painting it as a graphic novel more than an issue to issue, but we'll see. So anyhow, that's the catch up on what I've been getting. And then in pertaining to today, picked up some goodies. Thank you for your patience. You know, remember those timestamps. I'll throw them up here one more time in case you want to skip past, you know, my show and tell with what I bought. Hey, I'm just nerding out and comparing notes with people. I love my followers, the few that I got. Thank you so much for subscribing. Geiger. I'm so amped about this title. I feel like I should just collect another 10 so I can like sit and read them all at once. But to be honest with you, I don't know if I can. It's so good. It's so good. This is gonna pop up a few times, but this is my favorite title in comics. If you watched my year-end show, this is it right now, and I love what Robert Kirkman's doing as he picks up here. I have gotten all the way up to issue 27, so I'm fully caught up and ready to read this one, and I can tell you right now, I'll put it right there, representing I ain't gonna wait this time around. This is one. It's on my to-do list. I'm going to get at least the catch up from issue 300 up to issue 324 here. It's coming. It's coming very soon. That's definitely not gonna forget that one. Actually, priority for next week, along with my featurette, continued reading segment. This is gonna be it right here. It's gonna be getting caught up from where I left up with G.I. Joe back on issue 11. Was my last issue read, so I got about 8 issues here to catch up with, and I cannot wait. I have heard nothing but good things. I've been really excited for this title in particular. And to be honest with you, 1 through 11 was good, but it didn't quite live up to the miniseries that preceded it. I'll just throw this in. I'm not quite sure how these got separated, but these are my other 2 Transformers covers. I'm trying to get all the like the Daniel Warren Johnson and the Jorge Corona covers that I can get. I love those artists. I need to start this and decide if this is like, but I actually I don't even think it's that long of a series, so, or going to be that long of a series, so, but I mean, it looks cool, the art looks cool, but Court, you know, Children of the Round Table, I don't know, maybe I'm wasting my money. Definitely looking forward to seeing what this team has in store next. Jean Luen Yang, Jean Luen Yang really surprised me last month with the issue 13, and Freddie Williams, is he the perfect artist? No. Is he the perfect artist for Turtles? He might be. He's pretty good. This is like a dead ringer. Just like today's main feature comic. Actually, both my feature comics. Just buy it. Don't even worry. Just buy it. Don't even worry if you have the back issues. Just buy it. Space Ghost, 100% every time. Winner, chicken dinner. I picked this up for a friend. Is it any good? Tell me in the comments. Is Gunslinger Spawn any good? I wanted to get Dark Ages out. Issue 2, Spawn Dark Ages. I picked that up. I had to do it special. I had to have it ordered in because I couldn't go to the shop that day. And the first issue was my pick of the week that particular week. It was just so interesting to me. It was refreshing, was what it was. A little bit dry, but like in a way that was aesthetically pleasing to the setting and I guess basically the authenticity that the writer was trying to do. I really enjoyed that. So that's gonna be coming up on my continued reading section, but next episode. Again, this is the now returning. So that was earlier. That was Adjectiveless X-Men. This is Uncanny X-Men with Gail Simone back. We'll see. I liked Uncanny, but I liked Jed McKay's X-Men a little bit better. I said that in my features on those. And to be honest, you know, when I'm really thinking about it as like a collector, and you know, I have to I eventually have to say, okay, enough's enough. This is what I'm doing for now. These are the titles I'm getting. This is my budget. I may be snipping Uncanny. It was a novelty to do those side by side, but at this point, I don't know if I need to see any more of Uncanny. It's not that I don't appreciate the title. I thought Jed McKay was closer to what I was appreciating. So, I don't know if this was this week, but I missed it. I must have missed it last week. So I grabbed this issue 6 of Kaisei era Godzilla, and that's going to be coming up on some of my featurettes. This coming out is coming out a little bit slower than some of the titles, but I'm pretty curious. It looks pretty solid from the art. We got again, this is a Freddie E. Williams. He's on the Turtles. I mean, just look at that. It's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that. I had a lot of He-Man action figures that were handed down to me when I was young, and they just don't make action figures like that. Or maybe yeah, you know what, they actually make better action figures. What am I talking about? And then speaking of my love for animals, this is a animal themed Dexter Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is the the second installment of this series. I think we're getting pretty close. Yeah, this must be the penultimate issue because I'm guessing it's another 6-parter. But I wouldn't mind a 12-parter because the first one was so good. And then just a Facilime title, if I'm saying that right. New Gods issue 1, and this is the Jack Kirby iteration. So this is really cool. I actually read the second volume, I believe it was. Not this one. And I really need to go back, get through this, and it's the only reason I actually haven't started the current iteration of New Gods, and I don't know if I'm gonna just be able to schedule that in, so I may have to go and do the retroactive reading, but from what I understand, the new title is very good. It's coming up. It will be coming up. All right. Enough with the resolutions. We're done with what I bought at the store. Show and tell's over. Let's get to the commentary on the comics for today's episode. And just a quick little tidbit before I get into those comics. Next week's episode, we're finally going to break into. I was so disciplined. I've been looking at this title every month for a year, and then I finally got all 12 all together, and I had to keep putting it off, and then it didn't even get to be on my year-end show, and it was probably going to be the hands-down winner. But anyway, Batman, Dark Patterns. Next episode, probably about 2 weeks from now. It's probably going to be a bi-weekly show. Sorry. Hey, I got a lot of work to do. I got about 3 jobs at this point. But Batman, Dark Patterns is going to be my next big featurette with the catch-up on G.I. Joe, so expect that. I can't wait to drop my opinion on that. I've heard nothing but good things. I figure most of the people watching this channel have already read this, but just in case I can catch a casual and introduce them to an awesome Batman title, that's why we do this. That's absolutely why we do this. It was someone like this that literally got me back into this stuff, and I can't even remember who it was or what they even looked like. It was just a random day, and then I found myself in a comic book store just days later picking up stuff that he suggested, and it was like being reborn. So, getting to our feature. Our first feature of the day. Ooh, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Because continued reading. Yes. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get this show a little bit more organized. But we have, from Distillery, just a few weeks back, we got issue 2 of Endeavor. This did not start that long ago. I want to say issue 1 of this was either August or September-ish. And I was surprised to see, just like a White House robot romance with Distillery, you always seem to be waiting. But the issue 2s for both titles came out relatively quick for this publisher. Endeavor features several families on a historical cruise of some sort where they're going to be out at sea in this, it's themed and the boat is made, it's like a remodel, or it's supposed to look like the real thing, but it's actually like a recreation. I'm trying to remember the specific word, but the whole trip is supposed to be this historical cruise, and I guess it's kind of the backstory or the hidden history of why things are happening in this story, or what the
come on,
what
you can
what
do
the,
it. You can say the word conflict.
I guess the big problem
Swing
that
and a miss.
occurs that makes us even engage with it at all. So Endeavor has these several families. They're going out for what is supposed to be a family outing, I guess, at sea. Very very interesting history themed adventure. The crew, you can tell they've done this so many times. The captain kind of seems like a bit of a drunk, and there's a little bit of foreboding, but it for the most part it doesn't seem like anything necessarily bad is going to happen. And this is back in issue 1, and then all of a sudden there's this raft with just a lost woman out at sea, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's not moving, is she alive? And they pull they get up close to the raft, and they rescue this person, and it ends up being somebody that's extremely ill. And then the next thing you know, several of the passengers and the crew become very ill. And then I think it just advances several days, and all of a sudden it's all these families' children are left behind, and all the adults have basically passed on because this illness that basically disabled every member of the ship has basically wiped everyone out but the kids. Well, in issue 2, things only get weirder and twice as much more unexplained. But I think that's kind of the point. Distillery definitely is a publisher. They're artists that they have these books with seem to always, no matter who it is. And it was Stephanie Phillips, Mark Laming, Lee Luridge, and Tom Napolitano. Sorry, Tom. But these are passion projects. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And that's not saying that, other publishers don't have titles that seem like true passion projects. See Transformers. But in this particular case, and pretty much in all Distillery's titles, they just have a knack for the interesting cliffhangers. This really does feel like what you'd see adapted onto like HBO or something back in the day when HBO was still edgy. So what I can say about issue 2 is it proved to me that that initial cliffhanger factor of the first book could actually be topped in issue 2, and they could almost it was almost like it was set up like oh, okay, I know where this is going, and then just when you think you know where it's going, issue 2 dropped enough of a cliffhanger that you're like, well, now I guess I gotta get issue 3. So they do that part, but is it interesting? Does it draw you in? Am I connecting with the characters? Yeah, actually I am. I actually am. It's not a happy story by any means. But you want to know what's going on. If anything, this kind of maybe reminds me of stuff like Lost, or maybe to a lesser degree like the Dark Tower saga, where some of those early books where they weird things were happening, and Roland seemed to know what was going on, but none of the other guys that were kind of pulled out of, well, I don't want to ruin the Dark Tower if you haven't seen it, but there was just in this, it's not quite, as elaborate as those, but there's definitely, something going on, and it's how, everything's being executed, both from, the writing standpoint, and then how the art and the art direction is all being, it's very, I like to say cinematic a lot, but it does have a very cinematic style to it. This just feels like an authentically mysterious story. I'll just say that it's mysterious, and I'm into it. I'm into the mystery. Sometimes these stories where you're a little weirded out, or they're like, I like A Nice House by the Sea. They're going for something, outside the box, and sometimes it's a miss. And in this particular case, let's see where this goes. So it's got legs. Let's keep rolling with these Distillery books. I like them. I'm gonna give it about somewhere between a 3.75 and a 4 out of 5. It's good enough. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for you. All right. On to the next feature. Okay, so our smaller feature today, in case you forgot, is Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood. We're 3 issues into this, unless I've gravely mistaken and I missed issue 4, but I've been trying my best. I've been trying my best to keep this going. I am, you know what, now, after reading it, I can tell you one thing. I'm going to get all the Orphan stuff. I'm a believer in James Stokoe. I believe he is responsible for everything on this. What do we have with Orphan and the Five Beasts? Well, let me just say that recently I've been a little bit more adventurous as a comic reader. I might have a little bit of an OCD thing when it comes to sequential books where there's a story going through them, and that sometimes I'm paralyzed with fear that I'm gonna ruin a comic experience for myself because I haven't read, necessary information that would, first of all, a recent title, a recent recommendation, and a recent, little clips, little visuals of art that was in a issue 30 of a series. I don't have to get into it. It was Incredible Hulk 30. It was the closeout to Volume 4 just recently. I just opened it up without any prior knowledge of the series up into that point, and I was like, I'm going to buy this title, and I'm going to buy the title that this is leading into, and it was just an immediate decision. And ever since, I haven't been afraid to open up issue 4 or issue 5, a series that's been going for a while, and just give myself a little preview. And I could not take it anymore with Orphan and the Five Beasts. I could not find issue 1. I could not find issue 2. I needed to do a big reorganize of my storage of comics. So I popped open issue 3, the latest issue I have, and I just went to town. And what I could honestly say is I decided in that moment, yes, absolutely, gonna buy everything that wherever this story goes, which I believe, from what I'm getting on this one, now that I've educated myself and read all the available issues I had, I believe each time he brings back a new miniseries, a new arc, it's going to be one of these five beasts, or one of these five beasts that this character, it's actually a female lead character, Orphan Mo, really cool, I'm getting a little bit of the backstory, but this story is kind of fast-paced, and I believe this is the second of the five beasts, and you know what? This was like picking up a series. You hang out with someone, and you thought you were gonna, hang out and have some beers with an old friend or something, and they go right back to watching the show, and they're just hooked and they're transfixed. And you've not seen episode 1, you didn't see season 1, etc. And you're just sitting there and you're trying to ask questions, and they're like, shh, just let me watch. And you're like, well, this is kind of rude. But then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, without knowing anything about the characters, you're all of a sudden a hooked member of the cult of that show's fandom. Well, that is how I feel about this. After just that quick preview, now I've read all 3. We have like a feudal, I want to say, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like a feudal Japan kind of setting. And these demons or these beasts, these creatures, I don't even care 100% about what they're supposed to be. I just know that the art is so animated. It's like just blowing up in your face. Think Precious Metal from the last year, or maybe it started the prior year, but Precious Metal, that 6-part series, and Little Bird, not like, that's a little bit more refined art, but like the chaos that James Stokoe has in this art, and the attention to like the little details, even though they're crude, it's very vivid on the page. This is like a crude version of maybe even like Skinbreaker that's coming out, that with David Finch on the art. It's just so cool, but it's got like a cool, how do I explain it? It's like almost like dirty anime or something, or like gritty anime to it. And when I say anime, like, there's definitely moments where they have that over exaggeration stuff and comedy. Very funny. Graphic violence. But the violence is so, it fits so much in with like the squiggly lines and the grittiness of his art. This is just so cool, that the fact that like the storyline, like I remember I pretty much was like one of my art, some of my comics that I really like to follow, I'm not gonna lie, some of them are just art books to me. Like, the story is secondary, but in this particular case, once I kind of actually put all 3 issues together, this just didn't just get me on the art this year. This has got me on the story too. I am so excited to finish this arc and then go back and read the first arc. And it doesn't matter that they're not sequential. OCD be damned. This is awesome. Like, And so that's my suggestion. If you have not started Orphan and the Five Beasts, pick up the very next issue that comes out, and open it up, and you're welcome. I give this title, for pure excitement factor and pure, making a new fan out of me, and the way that, like, that always just feels like that little extra when something's brand new to you, and you're like, oh, life's exciting again. For that pure factor, I'm giving this little mini series 4.5 out of 5. All right. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. I was like, 4.5 out of what? All right, so anyway, now on to our main featurette. All right, so our main featurette, and banger alert, absolute banger alert. I cannot believe how awesome, and I am so relieved. Just personal story. Friend of mine passed away. He was my a buddy of mine that we'd go riding our Harleys together, everything. Childhood friend. I knew him since I was 3 years old. Blood brothers, everything. We loved our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that definitely, this past fall when I read through the TMNT 1 through 12, the first of Jason Aaron's arc. Whew, that got me in the feels. I was choked up, man, because this was our real jam back in the day. We were the biker mice from Mars, And it's so funny that we grew up and we both had Harleys basically at 18, and would just be hanging out and living the dream there for a minute. But God rest your soul, buddy. But the amazing thing is that I initially thought I was gonna just collect like 5 issues or so of this. I didn't think it was actually gonna. I thought it was like a mini series. I was just amazed to see it on the shelf. This is Biker Mice from Mars from I believe this is Oni Press, but it's Nasselverse, a Nasselverse story. So maybe it's not Oni. No, this is Oni. Yeah, this is Oni. Weird. So a Nasselverse story, which actually there's going to be some crossover with some other brands here, but we got Biker Mice from Mars, and I thought this was just going to be a nostalgia thing for me because of, like I said, the childhood thing. I was expecting to pick it up and start reading it and be like, yeah, this isn't quite up to the same standard that Space Ghost and Johnny Quest is. This is another one of the duds. Well, I was wrong, and I was delightfully pleased, and I didn't quite get to it around issue 5. In fact, I let it go another 2 months, and I got issue 6 and 7 here. So we're 7 issues in, and this is 7 worthwhile issues. All of them are equally good. They all have their strength. I was not familiar with Melissa Flores. Daniel Geet is not a name I'm particularly familiar with. And then the other artist that starts on issue 5, Jordi Tarragona. All quality. These are people who love comics. They love the art of comics. They love making comics, and they demonstrated it perfectly here. And you know what? I just have to guess they love Biker Mice from Mars. They love Vinny, Throttle, and Moto, and that could be seen from a mile away. What I couldn't. I'm sitting here reading these, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it's gonna be like really a strong title for like 3 issues, and then it's gonna fall off. And I'm saying that because I'm looking at, I know it's the Robo Force, but can you see that? We're getting into like crossover territory where I'm like, I like my Biker Mice, but I never knew anything about this Robo Force, or even later on, there's a whole thing with the Sectors. Like, Melissa Flores just made it work. I guess I shouldn't like act like I'm like, oh, it's so surprising, but it actually kind of caught me off guard that like some of these covers look like this series was just had nowhere to go but like down and just be a huge disappointment. Nope, not at all. Nothing ever got corny. The crossover characters, deep in the plot. The closest comparison I can give you here, and I'm so glad I can make this comparison. Melissa Flores and her team have put together something that feels simultaneously authentic, but also modernly stake heavy. Like the stakes are really heavy, and it's like it is in your face to some degree. That like like can anything go right? Long-term storytelling, short-term storytelling. I would say maybe the one thing is there's not really self-contained issues. This has an ongoing plot, which I love, but the crossover with the RoboForce and the Sector thing is just done such a way. The best comparison I can give you is probably Joe Casey's Johnny Quest five-parter, and then his follow-up series he did with Space Quest with the Space Ghost and Johnny Quest. Oh, unbelievably. Those two series, just go get them. But that's kind of what was going on here. Is you had these very innocent, it obviously wasn't Hanna-Barbera, but these more innocent, titles or brands from like a more innocent, pure time, and it's just blending them in a way that gives this comic depth. I like to say, does it have legs? Yeah, it has legs. Issue to issue to issue, you want to get to the next one. And now that I'm out of issues, I'm like, yeah, go ahead and sign me up for another 7. Like, let's go on to 14, because I've seen a plot here where there's enough going on. Yeah, you've proven it to me. There's a lot of, various side characters. A lot of, most of them are mice. There's these like mice humanoids on Mars, but it can get a little bit confusing because they all look so similar. But you don't really mess up the main 3. But there's a bunch of side characters. I don't really remember them from the TV series. Actually, to be honest, I didn't remember a whole lot of the TV series. I knew one of them. I knew one of them had a more choppered out Harley, and I knew one of them had more of a crotch rocket, and then the leader always had shades on. That's kind of all I could remember from being a kid. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more than that. This isn't a surface level nostalgia thing. It's not just like, oh cool, I'm seeing, like, this is definitely a passion project. I absolutely was impressed. What's kind of going on? Well, so on Mars, you got your ongoing battle between, I think they're called like the Plutarchians, the fish people, the fish goons that were like fish bad guys, I guess, that were like Limburger. You remember Limburger, the big fish with the suit? He's there. I mean, the whole that whole thing is going on, and then there's I guess the mice people are like rebels, and they got like this rebel force, and they're trying to get the planet back, and it's this whole freedom fighter thing, and you're thinking, oh, this has nowhere to go. But there's this whole geo-environmental like terrorism thing going on, where the Plutarchians they're like triggering volcanoes and wiping out whole cities, and it's this whole conspiracy, and it's actually really well done. And by this point of the series, they've already had to leave Mars in it's like a big they're pursuing a hostage, someone that was aiding them. And I mean, like, when you actually get to like issue 7, issue 6, it's like what do they call that? Where it's like, you're screwed if you do and screwed if you don't kind of situation. So someone has to make a hard decision, and it's like, oh, so destroy the world or destroy the world, like, and so like it was wild. And now there in issue 7, one of our biker mice ends up getting separated from the other 2, and that was like a big cliffhanger too. I mean, it just keeps getting deeper. And it's all off of this one continuous long-term storytelling thing that has started since issue 1. So it's got the long-term, it's got the self-containedness at least every issue. If it's not like, you know, like a 2-part or a 3-part, at least every issue gives you enough self-containedness to keep you there. But what this one is going to make you do is going to make you want to go back to issue 1, and get the full story. And if that ain't what a comic book's supposed to do, then, you know, what else? I mean, I guess, you know, hey. No, yeah, that's what a comic book is supposed to do. You're supposed to be able to pick up a random issue late into an ongoing series and be curiositied all the way back to issue 1. Yes, that's what a comic book is supposed to do. And I think Biker Mice from Mars by Melissa Flores with artwork by Daniel Jeet and where's my other guy? Jordi Tarragona. This is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. I'm going to go ahead and call it my surprise of 2025. And I'm hoping that it continues to surprise me in 2026. Thank you, everybody, for tolerating. If you got this far in the video, thank you so much. I know I don't do anything particularly unique, like, you know, go through all sorts of video footage and expose fake guitarists or drummers. I only do so many music reviews. I as a musician, I try to avoid the reviewing thing for as much as I can. Some albums I just gotta say something. In most cases, if it's a smaller band, I'm gonna say something nice. If it's a bigger band, but anyway, I know I don't do anything in particular that's unique or different. But I appreciate the people who do watch my content and give it a shot and give me a couple of minutes of their time. And yeah, please hit me up in the comments. If you could like and subscribe if you haven't before. This is kind of what I do. I go through what I'm grabbing every week, and then I just keep everyone up to speed with what I'm reading and tell people what I think about it. I think that's one of the funnest things. Well, not the funnest, but one of a good time killer for me when I'm stuck with a little bit of thumb twiddling time. I pull out that phone and I'll take a gander at what some of my fellow comic connoisseurs are looking at. But anyhow, Drumboy, read slow, signing off. Please be safe and continue to be awesome and keep on flipping pages. Let's keep on celebrating the good stuff. And you know what? I don't have any bad stuff to point out this week. I really thought my comic haul was great. So we're all on the up, and I look forward to seeing you in roughly about 2 weeks. If you're going to come back and check out the next episode. Again, we're doing Batman Dark Patterns. I'm going to run through all 12 issues, give that one a rating. Catching up on G.I. Joe. And then, I got all sorts of continued reading. I still got a thing with Distillery and the Rippaverse, since they're kind of, different publishers with a different spin. I do have a whole bunch of books on them. I do want to do some features on them. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your week, and Drumboy signing off for like the 80th time. Good night.